Hello, how are you? Welcome to today's episode. In today's episode, we will talk about comparison. Yes, you know, they say, whoever they are, but they say that comparison is the thief of joy. In today's episode, I want to examine this statement. I want to question it. Is comparison really the thief of our joy? If that be the case, then how does it do that? How does it manage to steal our joy? And then lastly, how can we guard against this thief of our joy, that is comparison? But before that, welcome to this channel, to today's episode. My name is Mary, and I just share some tools, some tips that I am learning along the way as I navigate a grace season that I have found myself in. Now, a grace season is just a period in life where we are bearing the weight of an unmet need. Sometimes the weight is emotional, sometimes it's mental, physical, financial. It is a weight that we are carrying as a result of a need that has not been met yet. And so today, let's look into comparison. This statement that comparison is a thief of joy, I believe there is something that is missing to make that statement true. Comparison in itself is nothing but data collection. You're basically just taking one item against another, looking against each other to see which one serves my needs better in this particular time. Where should I go eat? What book will serve me better right now? What vaccine should I get? You are just gathering some data, period. So how does that then steal your joy? I think comparison is innocent. I think it's innocent. What I think has the potential to steal our joy is what we do with this data that we collect. Do we use this data to feel envious and jealous? Do we use this data to make ourselves feel better? Or how do we use this data? So, two ways that we can definitely allow comparison to steal our joy is when we use comparison or the data that we've collected to derive ourselves of our sense of self. And that is in two ways, be it a positive sense of self or a negative sense of self. A positive sense of self as a result of comparison would look like this, again, popular statement that is, it's never bad. It's not as bad as it looks like. There's definitely somebody who is doing better than you and another person that's doing worse than you. And I am air quoting because I think there are so many variables that have not been put into consideration to decide that another person is doing worse or better than you, right? When we compare and decide that, yeah, there's a person that's not doing, that's missing something, that this thing, they don't have a leg. I'm complaining I don't have shoes. They're complaining they don't have legs. When we use that data, we might put ourselves in a position of judgment, of looking down upon another person, of lording over other people, just because we feel that we are doing better than they are. And in all honesty, that is not respectful at all. If we do this, we are basically saying that we are better in some flawed way than this other person, except the ways that we are even evaluating, that we are comparing with, first of all, don't have the grounds for that. Okay. So when we compare this way, first of all, we elevate ourselves, we one up ourselves, and then we might feel a false sense of gratitude. You might feel like, oh yeah, I'm doing so much better, but it's not a true sense of gratitude. We might even be moved to help these people that we deem that are not doing better than they are doing worse than we are. But again, I think that's a false sense of satisfaction because it's coming at the expense or at the knowledge or at the assumption of other people doing worse than you. That is such a flawed way of thinking. I don't even know why we think that way, but that's such a flawed way of thinking. You're either content and satisfied with who you are, regardless of what other people are doing, how other people are doing, period. This other idea of comparing you against other people and feeling better because of something they're lacking, that is toxic. The other way that comparison could potentially steal our joy, again, is when we use this data to derive our sense of self, but in a negative way. The first one was in a positive way, seemingly positive way, but this now is a negative way. And this would look like those times that, for example, we compliment another person. We say, hey, John, you are so punctual all the time. Look at me. I'm always in a rush. I don't have my life together, or I just don't have my, stuff together. Or we give another compliment like, you're also always so tidy. I am such a mess. My life is just falling apart. Notice how we take a good thing, in this case, giving praise to another person, but take it to mean something about us. And it is meaning something about us. We are deriving a sense of ourselves that we're less than, we're not doing well because another person is doing good. It's as though it's not possible for another person to be doing good and you not to be doing good in your own eyes at the same time, right? So it's like, I think an ideal place would be where we are able to compliment another person, and that's it. You are so tidy, you're always so punctual, you are so honest, you are very well mannered, period. It doesn't trip over to us, what that means about us or other people, right? So when we do that, when we compare and then we derive our sense of self, who we are, then that's not helpful. It will steal our joy for sure. Those are just some of the two ways that using that data would lead us to negative comparison. Now, there's one statement that I think is worth mentioning, or that even just one word, not a statement, that is worth mentioning, that is a sneaky way of comparison that we don't even know. Sometimes comparison is just clearly, you're comparing me. That's just it. Sometimes it's just like, this person is way better than you. Some people just say that way. A sneaky way that I have found, or that I am aware of comparison, is the use of the word TOO. When we say, for example, you're just too sensitive, or you're just too needy, or you're just too this and that phrase, that word, it doesn't sound like you're comparing, but you are comparing. When you say too, you are comparing it to another variable. You're too sensitive. Okay, who are you comparing me with? Are you comparing me with yourself? Are you comparing me with the ideal version of me that you have in your mind? It's that too, you're too crazy. Too what? Too against what? So I think that's a statement that or a word that we should be careful of. I for sure I catch myself when that word is coming out too, and I think about it. I mean, of course it slips here and there, but I am more aware of it now than I used to be. But yeah, to something, not good. So then what is the antidote? If for sure using this data has the potential of causing us unhappiness, what's the antidote? And the antidote is this word that I am studying, that we are studying here this month, and it is contentment. Contentment is knowing that this person is that. Contentment is knowing that this is my journey. It's knowing this is my lane. It's knowing this is my path. And that's it, and period. Contentment it's not coming from a place of stupidity. It's not that you are not comparing. No, you are well aware, you are able to compare. You're not, if you, contentment is not contentment if you don't have an option, right? Like, for instance, if all you've known all your life was living in jail, for example, I don't think that's possible. But if that were the case, you were born in jail, raised in jail, it wouldn't be, if and you have come to enjoy being in jail, it wouldn't be contentment if you don't desire being outside, the freedom of being outside, because you just don't know that there is an outside. So contentment is knowing that there is another person, there is another thing. Yes, I have this data, but even then, I am okay. I am happy with where I am, the journey, the pace that I take to learn and to grow. I am okay. I am really happy that you have that and that works for you. But you know what? This is what I got for myself. This is what has gotten me here. And this is what I know. This is how I know how to do life. And should there be a need for me to change up some ways, I trust that I will learn to do that at my own pace in my due time. That's what I think contentment would look like in the face of comparison. It's like having a cactus and a rose flower. So as we all know, there are two very different flowers or plants. A rose flower is delicate, it's fragile, it's needy in terms of it needs tender care and love. It's precious in terms of people have given it so much value money wise. People use it for love, to symbolize love. A rose flower can only survive in selective environments, right? It is very different. People smell it, they are just putting their noses all over it and picking sometimes at it. Cactus, on the other hand, is strong. It knows how to protect itself. It can withstand whatever period of drought. It has thorns to protect itself. It's not a needy plant. It has no scent. People do not value it the same way they do for a rose. Now, it would be insane for the rose flower or the cactus to say, first of all, collect the data, say, hey, it's true, I am so fragile, but you're so strong. And then decide, you know what, I'm going to start praying. I'm going to start going to therapy. I'm going to start studying the ways of a cactus just so I can be like a cactus. What insanity would that be? And that's what we do. That's what we do when we collect this data and then we compare. But really, a healthy environment, a beautiful environment where people can gift a cactus to other people for different reasons, right? And gift people rose flowers for different reasons, would be in environments where both these plants have fully been aware, not stupidly, but fully aware of who they are, and then deciding, you know what, I'm going to do what I need for me to thrive as a rose or as a cactus. I'm going to droop, I'm going to wither, I'm going to fall, like get my petals to fall if I need attention and nobody's giving me the attention. I am going to rot if they give me too much water and I don't need too much water. I am going to do the best that I can to get to meet the needs that I have as the plant that I am. So that, I believe, is the antidote to comparison, or to this thief of joy that potentially could be comparison. To learn our journeys so intimately, so much so that our souls are untethered from this place of peace and satisfaction by knowing who we are and by accepting that and by rejoicing in that. Now, if I'm being honest, everything I said is 90%, if not 100% for me. This is an area of my life that I am learning and I am praying that I can get better at, to truly be happy for where I am, not to be, there's this statement in Christian circles that, and it's actually in the Bible, so it's just not in Christian circles, but there is this statement that it was good that I was, sorry, I'm forgetting because I hadn't prepared for this one, but it was good that I was something like persecuted, or like I went through hardship. That is the phrase. It was good that I went through all of that. And that's good. The thing though with that is that you're saying that in retrospect, is now that I'm looking back, it was good. What I want for me and for all of us is to say, as we go through those times, it is good now that this is happening to me, or I'm going through this. It is good now, not after I can see the goodness that comes from it, but it is entrusting that right now there's good that's going to come of it, even if the good just might be of me becoming a better version of myself. Even that's just enough, right? So this month, again, we are studying this book that is The Rare Jewel of Christian Contentment. I will put a link to an audio version of that book in the description box. Check it out, listen to it. I'm sure it will bless you. And also share with me your notes if you have any. I would be very happy to get that. Next week, I'll talk about boundaries. When you have become so aware and you found peace in the way that your journey is, inevitably people will try and tell you you're not doing better, or you're not doing enough. There's just going to be people trying to, or because they care, they just want to help you do better, right? How do we put guardrails? How do we say, here, this is a line in the sand. This is what you can say. This is what you can do. This is what is not okay. How do we do that? Next week, we'll look into that. So join me next week and let's continue studying this virtue that is rare and it's beautiful, and that is Christian, and that is the Christian contentment. Yeah. All right. So until next time, I will see you next week. Take care. And please let me know what you thought of this episode in the description box. As well, share with any person that you know would benefit from this. Like it and subscribe, join the gang, and let's do this together. All right, I will see you next time. Ciao, ciao.